Hello and welcome to FlippedHarber. FlippedHarber is a concept that I'm trying out in my classroom this year, referred to as a flipped classroom. Now, this video is really for the students as well as the parents. So now would be a good time to pause the video, go get your parents so that they can see what you're going to be experiencing this year and how it's going to be so dramatically different than what they or you have seen in the past. Alright, so this video is all about explaining what FlippedHarber is. We're going to start by talking about what a basic flipped classroom looks like. We're going to talk about why teachers are flipping. We're going to talk about the video lectures that you're going to be watching through the year. We're going to talk about getting those video lectures from YouTube or from DVDs. We're going to talk about the notes requirement during these video lectures. We're also going to be talking about some homework expectations this year, taking a look at a timeline for a simple chapter in our flipped classroom scenario. And we're also going to be taking a look at what the average day in our flipped classroom is going to look like. So let's get started. First of all, let's take a minute to talk about what a basic flipped classroom is in its purest form. In a traditional class, students sit at lectures at school, they go home, they do the homework. The most simple concept to a flipped classroom is to do exactly the opposite. Students watch lectures on video at home, and when they come into school, they work on that homework. Now, why flip? In a traditional class, sitting at lecture at school, students are doing what we refer to in education as a sit and get. I know, don't tell my English teacher friends. Student is very passive during this time, and this is a time when they shouldn't be passive because they're with that teacher, they're with that expert. And I know it says a waste of time on the screen, but it's not really a waste of time when students ask all these questions about homework, because that's really what we need to be doing when we're together, is we need to be actively working on stuff together to make sure that they understand everything. When students then go home to do their homework, they're sitting there alone. They could get stuck on a problem, and even if they don't think that they're stuck on a problem, they might just be doing it flat out wrong and not even know it. So what we're going to try to do with the flipped class, we're going to move those lectures to home. They're still sitting and getting. We can't get away from that. Yes, the student is still passive, but they get to back that lecture up, they get to watch the video as many times as they want, they get to slow it down, all those things that they would like to ask us to do in the classroom, but they never do. And they're not taking lecture time to go over homework. Take that homework, move it to school. Now students are working on that homework with other students and with the teacher. There's less frustration because if they get stuck, and it's going to happen, they've got 2 or 3 other students to talk to, they've got me going around the classroom, and we can all be more productive this way. Now, these video lectures, they're going to be 15 to 20 minutes, hopefully. I know, you don't want to sit there at a computer or at your TV watching me for 30, 45, 50 minutes droning on and on about math. So I'm going to try to keep it down to a reasonable time. At the beginning of this experience, what you're going to see is exactly what you have now, a PowerPoint presentation with my voice over top. Later, as that new technology that the school bought gets brought in and made available, you're going to see more dynamic things. You're going to see my handwriting on the screen. You're going to see more movement of objects on the screen, just because we've got better computers, better software, and better technology all around. These video lectures are going to be available online as well as on DVD to fit the needs of the student. Now, online, I'm planning on putting them on YouTube. I've set up a channel, www.youtube.com/user/Jeremy C. Harber. That's my channel. They can go there, they can watch these lessons. Why put it on YouTube? I know the students can't even watch YouTube at school, but that's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be doing this outside school. They can watch YouTube on computers, they can watch them on their iPads, they can watch them on connected devices like their Wii or their Xbox. I would not recommend watching these videos on smartphones though. Those screens are too small, they're not really going to be able to see the examples that we're going to be going over. Now let's take a quick look at the YouTube channel. As you can see here, I've named it FlippedHarber. I just like that name. And there's already 2 videos up here. Notebook 2012.1 and Homework 2012.1. So these are two videos that you could already go up there and watch. Now the 2012.1, that's a version number. You're probably very used to this with software, you know, Windows Vista, Windows 7. Those are all versions. So I tried to number my videos so that you know when they were made and what version we're up to. Now this is our first time through, so all of them are going to be 2012.1. Maybe you'll see a 2012.2 or maybe even a 2012.3 because maybe I'll find out that a lesson didn't exactly go over like I had hoped. So I go back and I'll be remaking these to try to make them better. Alright, let's get back to the PowerPoint. So we've got the YouTube channel, but you're also going to be able to check out DVDs with the lessons on them. This really should be viewed as a secondary method though. I would much prefer that students have access to the YouTube channel whenever they need to. But on the DVDs, I'm going to have an entire chapter of videos on the DVD. Now these DVDs do remain my property. The reason for that's really simple. I don't have the money to go out and buy hundreds and hundreds of DVDs so that I can give everybody a copy of absolutely every single chapter. It'd be nice, it's just not realistic. So if you need to use the DVDs, you must check them out from me. And you can't check out more than 2. So if you come in and you tell me you want the DVDs for chapters 2 and 3, great, no problem. But you want to come back and get the DVD for chapter 4, you better turn in one of the other 2 first. Now, while you're watching these lessons, you are expected to take notes. This is how I know that you're actually watching the videos and not just sitting there with them playing on your computer while you're doing something else. You should always write down all the material from the lecture. You should write it down basically just like if you were sitting in the lecture with me. And probably the most important thing is that you write down the example problems. Write down the example problems. It's a good chance that these will be on these new things that I'm using called notebook quizzes. Make sure you're taking notes. You're really going to shoot yourself in the foot if you're not taking the notes. Now, let's talk about homework. Every teacher says homework is required. I'm going a step beyond. In order to take a chapter test, you have to have every single piece of homework done before that chapter test. Now, what I mean by complete homework is that all the problems are done and a minimum of 65% are correct. Now, I would prefer that you do all the homework and they're all correct. But you have to do all the problems. You have to get a minimum of 65% correct in order to take the chapter test. If you're missing homework on a test day, you will have to schedule a time before or after school to make up that test. You'll be asked to go to the library to work on that missing homework, and then you will have a Saturday school every Saturday until that chapter test is made up. Now, there's a 1 Saturday school minimum, which means you come in on a Monday and there's supposed to be a chapter test, but you've got missing homework. You're going to be sent to the library, you complete that homework. Maybe you get it all done right then. You need to schedule a time to take that test. Maybe we end up scheduling it for Wednesday. Okay, so test was on Monday, you took it on Wednesday because you got all your homework done. You are still serving that 1 Saturday school minimum. That's the punishment part of this. Not taking the chapter test is not the punishment. That's to make sure that you're ready for these tests. I want you to be successful, and there is no better way to make sure you're successful than to do all of the homework. Now, let's talk about the timeline for a chapter. What's it going to look like in FlippedHarber? So let's say we're going to start a new chapter with only 3 sections, and we're starting it on a Tuesday. That means that the previous test was on Monday. So, in class on Tuesday, we're going to take a pretest. You all know what the pretests are like. You should understand that it's not a big deal to get the pretest wrong. It's okay. On Tuesday, you go home. You watch the Section 1 video, whether that's on YouTube or on the DVDs. You sit down and you watch the Section 1 video. You also start the homework. On Wednesday, you come in. Instead of us going over Section 1 lecture, you're going to get broken up into groups and you're going to sit there during class time and work on and finish that Section 1 homework. Now, I just said finish that Section 1 homework. Yes, that Section 1 homework is going to be due Wednesday before you leave. That means you're going to have to start it Tuesday night. Wednesday, you go home, you watch the Section 2 video, start the homework. Thursday, you come into school, you work on and complete that Section 2 homework. Thursday night, you watch the next video, start the homework. Friday, you work on and finish that homework in class. Now, Friday, we've done all 3 sections. You've watched all 3 videos. You've done all 3 sections of homework. So Friday, you should start reviewing. How should you review? Well, there will be review homework, but you can also go back and look at those videos again. Maybe it's the exact same videos, maybe something went over like a lead balloon and I redid a section video. That's fine, but you always have those videos to refer back to and to study with. Monday, you're going to work on and finish that review homework, and then Monday night, you should review some more, get ready for that test. Tuesday, there's a chapter test, and then that night, after the chapter test, you don't have to do anything. If you want to watch the video for the next section, feel free, but you really don't have to do anything. So, what's it look like on an average day in our flipped classroom? Okay, assuming, and I should be able to assume this safely, that you watched the video the night before. You come in, I will randomly put you in groups. You're not going to be in the same groups every day. I'm just going to use some name cards, I'm going to shuffle them, and I'm going to put you in groups. Generally 3 to 4 students. You're going to get in those groups, and there's going to be a certain spot, group 1 here, group 2 here in the room. You're going to work on that homework from that section. During that time, I'm going to be moving around from group to group, helping you guys out. If I find that everybody's having a problem over a certain concept, that means that, 1, I need to explain that better. I'll do that right there with everybody, and I'll probably go back and change the video somehow. So, it's not that you'll never have to look at the board in the classroom. It's not that you'll never have to sit there as a group and listen to me, but hopefully we cut it down to a minimum. You get to work on developing those skills with me while you're learning the material. And then by the end of the hour, you should be turning in your homework for that section. So, I hope you're as excited about FlippedHarber as I am. I think this is going to be the way to go in math and science classes. I think that we are really going to be on the cutting edge of everything. I think you're going to have a great time. I think it's going to be a great way for everybody to learn as much as they can this whole year. I can't wait to get started. I hope you can either.